Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Garage Talk Sports. I'm Mills.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Nick.
And we are back again in the garage bringing another episode to you guys. This one's actually going to be a two-part episode. Just so much to cover going on in the NFL. Makes sense to break it up so we can do more of a focused NFL league-wide talk. And then part two, we're going to be talking primarily Chicago Bears, trades, future of the team. And then we'll have Nick's question of the week in part two as well. So we're going to have, as always, we start with our hot spots. We're going to talk a little bit about the World Series. It is going on. I know NFL is kind of the big news right now, but we got to cover the World Series. You know, it's been pretty electric, especially if you're a Philly fan. Not so electric if you're a Houston fan.
That is
Yeah, but they cheated a couple of years.
Yeah, so no one feels bad
no
for
one feels
Houston,
bad.
am I right? But, you know, just like I said, so much to talk about. The trade deadline, probably the most active it's been in my memory. I'm sure you guys would agree with me on that. A lot of names.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Big
a
names,
lot
too.
of names
Most
on the
big
move.
names moving around. Usually one or two.
Usually
but
the
this time,
offseason is where you see the bigger names
Yeah.
traded, but at the trade deadline, very active. So we'll talk a lot about that. Maybe recap some week 8. Not going to guarantee any of that with the episode. But yeah, otherwise, guys, we'll get into it with our hot spots. Anyone volunteer to go first?
I'll go first.
Yeah, I was
'cause
gonna give it to
I'm
Nick.
not football.
Here we go. Nick will
I know
take the
Bobby's
reins.
our resident NCAA guy, so look, that's still football related.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Bulls, and not the fact that it's early in the season, so no, you can't be like, all right, they're gonna do well, really well, not too good or whatever. The
Welcome
fact
to the
that
ship.
they are the only Chicago team that addresses their problems in free agency.
That's AK, dude.
You have a problem where you only had one good scorer, so you go get Nikola Vukovic 2 years ago, and then he still wasn't good. So then you go get DeMar DeRozan, and it was like, we're going to fill this piece.
Mm-hmm.
Then last year you have a problem with Lonzo Ball getting hurt, Alex Caruso getting hurt. You have a guard shortage. You go get Goran Dragic, who has just been an absolute stud. He passes the ball really well. He shoots really well. He plays good defense, and he's a veteran guy on
He's
that team.
reliable.
And it's just like, why can't I know Ryan Storff is, he's involved with the Bulls, so why can't he do this with the Sox? But it's just like, the Sox don't do it, the Cubs don't do it, the Bears sure as hell don't do it. I mean,
Dude, we trade pieces away.
Yeah,
That's
we
what
trade
do.
building blocks here in Chicago.
but it's so weird that
Oh, and not even to mention Drummond.
oh yeah, Andre Drummond, he's hurt now, but
But, I mean, dude, when he did play, he was getting 20-something rebounds? It was insane.
yeah, the game on Friday, in 10 minutes, he had 15 rebounds and 7 points just because he's a big guy.
Yeah.
And it was like, what did you need in the draft? You need a big guy. I wanted them to get Kofi Coburn. They didn't. They ended up going with some smaller guys, role players. But they get Andre Drummond. And you get Goran Dragic. So take off the pressure off Ayo Dosunmu. He doesn't have to be the point guard.
Yeah,
And
and they're
then he's
looking to
playing
shop
good.
Kobe, too.
Yeah, Kobe but Kobe White's been doing good too now. So he's gonna get shot because they just have too many guards. But it's
Yeah.
like the Bulls just, find the thing of we need a guard who's a veteran presence. And they go get it. The Sox need a second baseman for the past 3 years. Have not gotten it.
Yeah, they need a legit center.
They need a
Got
left-handed
Drummond.
bat. Can't get it. The Cubs have needed pitching since 2016. Even when they won the World Series, they needed pitching.
That's very true.
They have not gone and got pitching.
No,
Yeah.
they go get you Darvish and then immediately trade him
And then
away.
trade
a
him for
year.
Nichols.
Yeah, exactly.
So
For
now,
Zach Davies.
now the Cubs are in rebuild, and I think the Bears are very headed. We'll talk about the Bears later, but they're more headed towards that. So
Yeah.
I when the Bulls were rebuilding, you can't go get the one piece in free agency,
Right.
but the Bulls are actually doing it now, and I hope other Chicago teams follow.
It would be nice, the Andre Drummond thing was huge because I feel like that. I don't think Vooch is a very solid center, but if you put him at power forward, that's a different story.
Yeah.
So having Drummond, who's injured, which sucks, but I think that kind of saves Vooch's career in Chicago, if you will, because we know a few people who are not high on him at all.
I still like him.
I still like him. I loved the trade when they got him, and I want him to stick around. Now that he's playing power forward instead of center, it's even better.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I wish other teams would follow the blueprint. I don't know what it is. It's like Chicago teams, they want to have that flash in the pan year and live off of that. And
Blackhawks.
no,
Well, the Blackhawks
that's
were at a
not even
dynasty.
close to the same.
I'm saying they had their 3 years where they were amazing, and then
No, Bobby,
Now-
that was more than 3 years, Bob.
it was. But
that was more than
They've
3
won
years.
3 years over
But-
7.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so
I
it's
mean
like
they were really good. But now it's they're not. They
Yeah,
have
well,
nothing.
then,
Yeah.
there's a lot of factors at play there, but Blackhawks that's not a great example. The Cubs and White Sox are perfect examples. The Cubs, quite honestly, have no excuse for only winning in 2016 and really barely sniffing another World Series after that.
Yeah.
You know, I correct me if I'm wrong. They went to the NLCS the following year against the Dodgers and lost.
Yeah.
And that was the last time they did anything notable in the postseason.
Yep.
Yeah.
So no excuse for the Cubs. They had that core and they just botched it. Mismanaged contracts and everything, and it just fell apart.
Most of those guys are under 30 still.
Yeah, it fell apart when it really shouldn't have. Now, you had some other outside factors that play into that. You know, Addison Russell with his whole, you know.
Oh, yeah.
That's a tough one. That's
It
a
is
tough
real
pill
tough.
to swallow.
It
He was emerging as a solid middle infielder. They just mismanaged it. They didn't address what they needed pitching. And then the White Sox, 2 straight playoff appearances and just kind of sat on their hands. I'm like, let's see what happens with what we've got. And that's not a recipe for success. You know, I always say winning teams, regardless of the sport, winning teams spend to win.
Yep.
In the world of sports, you get what you pay for. And you can't, if you're going to strictly rely on the ability to find cheap young talent, it's very hard to have sustained success like that. You still need to surround that young talent with proven talent, which costs money. And it's like Chicago teams just don't want to do that. So it's nice to see the Bulls. They finally broke away from the same mold that every other team was under. Once they fired, Garpax, right? Paxson dude, once they got rid of that 2-headed monster, and not in a good way, but once they got rid of them, that kind of signaled the start of a new culture in the front office, and this is what it's doing. Arturo Kanisivas is doing a great job, I think. And hopefully other teams take note. We will break down everything the Bears are doing later. And, so we'll dive into a little bit about the direction the Bears are going, at least the direction we think it's going, right? But I'll kind of take over here. I'll go into my hot spot. Complete 180. We're going to flip from basketball. We're going to go to a dumpster fire organization, the Washington Commanders, the commies, if you will. Though mad respect to Taylor Heineke.
Yep.
Respect.
He's our guy.
He's got that dog in him.
Yeah, he got that dog in him. And he got a new pair of Jordans.
Yeah. You heard about that?
Yeah.
Did you? Do you know what? Every time, first off, Taylor Heineke gets $125,000 bonus every time the Commanders win if he plays 60% of the offensive snaps. So he's 2-0 this year. That's a crisp $250,000.
That's
no sweat off his back
true.
or anything. That's a solid clause for a backup quarterback to take, I think.
That is.
Especially in Washington. Carson Wentz was before you. Carson Wentz wasn't going to do crap for you. Come on. This is.
Yeah, I mean,
he was a stud to start the year.
Yeah, he
top
looked
3 passing.
He had those passing yards.
And then his paper fingers.
But yes,
the Bears shattered.
Yeah. Glass bones and paper skin. Carson
Which I wasn't here for last week, or 2 weeks ago, but that was embarrassing. The Bears lost to Carson Wentz with broken fingers.
I know, that was pretty
in
bad.
his throwing hands.
That was pretty bad.
Hey, but our boy Brian Robinson Jr. got his first touchdown.
Yeah, good for him. But so Taylor Heineke, what he does is every time he wins, he buys custom Jordans that are the color scheme of the team he beat. So their last win was Green Bay. Well, I guess the Colts now, but prior to that, this past weekend, they beat Green Bay, and he custom ordered green, white, and yellow Jordans. And now he's going to do Colts blue and white. So it's a fun little thing he does, which is cool. But what I wanted to focus on with the commies is I mentioned it 2 weeks ago in my hotspot that there was pressure on Dan Snyder, owner of the Washington Commanders, to sell the team. And news broke today that he is officially exploring options to sell the Commanders. I imagine if you're a Washington fan, you're rejoicing and happy with this. Most people around the NFL are probably glad to see him gone. The Commanders are just a laughing stock. All the way from, changing their name from the Redskins to the football team, which honestly, keep it the football team because the Commanders is worse.
Yeah.
No, like the Washington Commanders, there's just total botched, drop the ball everywhere you possibly can with the team.
I mean, their uniforms are pretty cool.
I like their color scheme.
The color scheme didn't even change though.
But
they got like updated jerseys. They're kind of cool.
Yeah, and they just rep a W, which is like command. Like there's
because they're the Dubs. They're a walking dub.
we might as well just start calling them the Dubs.
Dude, they should have been like the Red Wolves or
they could have done so much more than Commanders. Well, it's just, you know what? Dumpster fire organization, dumpster fire owner.
Just sewage all over your field.
Yeah, just everything that can go wrong will go wrong with the Washington Commanders. And he's looking to sell. So that's good news for Commanders fans. It's good news
And
for
the
general.
team name might change again with the new owner.
That would be hilarious.
Real question
dude.
though.
What?
Was he bluffing? Do you
See,
think-
that's what I was
think
gonna,
he
that's what I was
bluffing,
that's what I was going to mention. We don't know if this is a result of the pressure, because like I said, they can host team like ownership meetings and basically vote on whether or not he should have to sell the team. I don't think they didn't nothing came out that they voted for him to sell. So I'm assuming that this means he just is like, you know what? Fine. He broke finally. So I don't know if he's gonna, hold true to his threat to expose a lot of people around the league or not. If he does, sure, I'll watch it all burn. That would be entertaining.
that would be like the best mic drop. You sell your team
and then just go, by the way, racist, anti-Semite. Just expose every rich owner.
You know it's going to come out. And I feel like people have kind of known that.
I believe most
people know that Robert Kraft probably has done some shady stuff.
I'm convinced. Listen.
I mean,
you know Miami's done some shady stuff. It just came out.
Yeah,
but any long-standing owner is going to have problems because
there's definitely a lot just stuffed under the bed with the NFL. So if he does it, I'm here for it. I want to see it all come out, even if it's the McCaskies. I don't care. If it forces the McCaskies to leave to sell the Bears, I'm cool with that too. I just don't know. I think he just broke and was like, you know what, this isn't worth it anymore. Let me get as much money as I can and do something else. He's still filthy rich. But if he does expose a lot of people, I will definitely be following that and I will be interested to see what comes out. That's my hotspot. Dan Schneider, owner of the Washington Commanders, is looking to sell.
So if you're a billionaire.
Yeah, guys, why don't we just secure a couple bank loans and go buy the Commanders? How hard can it be?
Yeah, how hard could it be?
We gotta hit some bets. Hit some crazy parlays.
Let's just build some ridiculous parlays. All of them hit, and then we have the capital to get a loan.
we just need to hit that $1 billion Mega Millions.
That
it rolled over.
I don't know. I'm gonna, you know what, Bobby? You go into your hotspot. I'm gonna look up how much the Commanders are worth, and then we can figure out if it's possible.
We'll see. So my hotspot this week is big matchup in NCAA. Number 1 Georgia taking on number 2 Tennessee. We're rooting for Tennessee. Honestly, I think it's at Georgia.
I am not rooting for Tennessee.
I'm rooting for Tennessee.
That's cool. You guys can root for Tennessee. I will not be. Okay, so Washington Commanders are valued at $5.6 billion. That's going to be a tough loan to secure.
But if we get the $1 billion in there, we could put a huge down payment down and we're golden.
I'll just take out a couple mortgages on the house and then come on, we'll be profitable after like 4 years. It's doable. It's not going to happen. Anyways, I'm not rooting for Tennessee. Sorry.
I'm rooting for Tennessee.
I go for Tennessee. I
got to go for my dogs.
I always root for Alabama to lose. I root for Ohio State to lose. I root for Clemson to lose, and I root for Georgia to lose every time. I just don't want Georgia to lose to any of those other teams I mentioned before because I like them the best out of them.
Yeah, but
Sorry,
where
boys,
it stands,
I'm not with you on this one.
Georgia is favored by 8.5, and it's gonna
be. I mean, Georgia's been looking good, man.
Besides that Mizzou game,
that was a fluke game, but they've been looking really good.
Yeah,
I'm excited for it. I'm not going to be pissed if Georgia loses, because we got into a really complicated breakdown of how
we did
how the qualifications would work for the college football playoff. I will say this: I'm rooting for Tennessee to make the college football playoff. So I would prefer this to be their only loss on the year. And if they beat Georgia, then it makes everything more complicated because they're in the same division, which means they can't face each other. It gets complicated.
It will, because then they would have to play Alabama so because Ole Miss fell apart.
There's a lot of
wheels came off.
The wheels came off with Ole Miss. That ship is sailed.
That's gone.
But they also face Alabama this week, I believe.
So if they could beat Alabama,
if Ole Miss can dial back into those 7-0 days from earlier this year and beat Alabama and eliminate Alabama completely, I'm going to be I'm not going to be as upset if Tennessee beats Georgia, because then it's there's no chance a 2-loss team gets in.
Yeah,
a 1-loss Georgia will get in because they're better than most other teams anyways. True. But it'd be cool for Tennessee, I will admit.
It is. I want to see Tennessee in the college football playoffs. That's the main thing out of this.
Their road in is undefeated or 1 loss.
Yeah, so regardless, this has to be their only loss, or if they make it to the SEC championship and play Alabama, then if they lose there, they'll still make it in. So like,
if they beat Georgia today, then Georgia's out.
No, Georgia will still make it. Like
I don't think so. I think if Georgia loses this week and then Tennessee loses to Alabama in that SEC championship, I do not think that Georgia will make it.
I'm
because you have to put Alabama above Tennessee. Because
assuming Alabama is a one-loss team going into the SEC championship, and I agree with Nick
because then Tennessee's above Georgia.
You can all three of those teams can't be a one-loss. If all three of those teams are a one-loss team at the end of this year, and that means SEC championship. Let's say Tennessee's one loss is the SEC championship game to Alabama. Alabama's one loss is the Tennessee game, and they beat Tennessee for the SEC championship game. You can't keep Alabama out because they just won the SEC, so they're going to go in. That's a lock. And then Tennessee beat Georgia, so Tennessee would go in over Georgia.
That's true.
And then you're assuming that Ohio State either beats Michigan or Michigan beats Ohio State. So whoever wins that one, they're in.
So it would be very hazy on that. Hopefully that doesn't.
It would complicate the shit out of things.
It really would, because and that playoff picture would suck because those three teams are probably the best three teams in college football. You have to give it to them. SEC is just insane.
They got those dogs in them.
Yeah, true.
We just need TCU, different animal and the same beast.
As long as they went undefeated.
Oh, yeah.
There's no Big 12 conference championship game. So they don't have to play a second team.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So TCU would be undefeated, and they've already played their hardest opponents in the Big 12.
Yeah, really
Ole Miss is still 8-1.
True. We just need Ole Miss to just pull one out of their ass.
They can. They certainly can.
Yeah, if Ole Miss beats Alabama, then Alabama's out, and then Georgia can still make it.
Yeah, and then Nick Saban has to stay at home during college football playoff time. Which I don't think has that ever happened under Nick Saban.
No.
Well, I guess in the college football playoff era, no. But his first 2 years in Alabama, they went 6-6 and 7-5. So they were like he to give credit to Nick Saban, he did turn around Alabama pretty quickly. But we would like to see it fall apart now.
No, yeah.
True.
But it can happen. Ole Miss can beat number 6 Alabama versus 11 Ole Miss. It could happen. I don't know if that's in. It's in Mississippi. So I mean, you got the home field thing. Just beat them. Just do it. And then we don't even have to worry so much about the matchup's not going to be as big of a deal at that point.
That's true.
Because you're not getting in as a 2-loss team. They're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
It just won't happen.
It won't.
Yeah, because you're most likely not playing the SEC championship game.
Also, guys, I'm going to Northwestern versus Ohio State. I know it's going to be an absolute beatdown, but I'm rooting for Ohio State.
Yeah, I know you're an Ohio State fan.
Do I wear red or
neutral, brother? Neutral.
Did I just go neutral?
Just go neutral. And yeah, wear a Bears thing and you're clean.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because I don't want.
I would loan you my Fields jersey, but it's white and I don't trust you.
I got my field jersey.
Oh, I forgot you have one.
Yeah,
you can wear that. That's like I'm a Bears fan, but obviously I support Justin Fields.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're covering both things. You're like, listen, I'm just here to watch the game. This is the only Bears jersey I own. This or Tariq Cohen, and am I really going to wear Tariq Cohen?
I'm not going to wear someone who went to NC State playing Ohio State Northwestern.
Everyone will know you're an Ohio State fan there, but at least you're not wearing the red and like get targeted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. I don't want to get
Flacco jersey with purple.
That's true. Just take that.
You cover the colors, but nothing else.
I want to watch an absolute beatdown of Ohio State to Northwestern.
How funny would it be if Northwestern won that game?
Dude, I would just never go to another college football game ever again.
Well, there you go. But no, there's some key matchups there. We got the 2 to watch really: Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama, Ole Miss. Those are the 2 matchups that have the biggest impact on the college football playoff as it stands currently.
Yeah.
But that'll kind of wrap up the hot spots. So let's move in real quick. I said we are going to cover some World Series stuff. Nothing crazy. Phillies Astros is the matchup. We didn't actually have the matchup set last time we recorded. So for those of you living under a rock, Phillies Astros, that's your World Series matchup. Phillies have a 2-1 lead, and they're firing on all cylinders like they have been all postseason.
Except for game 2.
Except for game 2.
Yeah.
Game 2, not so much, dude. I feel like my nose is killing me. I got like this itch right on the bottom of it. Sorry. They're firing on all cylinders, though. And, last night's game, 5 home runs. Lance McCullers got absolutely throttled.
Yeah.
He was tipping his
He
pitches.
scored 7 runs in the first 5 innings without ever having a runner in scoring position.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That is insane.
Dude, there was the video going around. So Bryce Harper hits a 2-run bomb. And then I forget who's between him and Alec Boehm, but Castellanos. Castellanos gets out. And then Alec Boehm's going up, and Harper calls him over, points out, he gives him some kind of hint. A lot of film was being reviewed and everything, and people believe that McCullers was tipping his fastball versus his off speed, which is a huge advantage for hitters if they can pick that up. So he probably was like, hey, look for this. This is how you know it's a fastball. This is how you know it's off speed. And then first pitch Boehm sees right after that conversation, first pitch of the at-bat, boom, cranks one home run. And it's just like, well, you know what? Not every day is your best day, man. That being said, Lance McCullers still owns a lower ERA in the World Series than Justin Verlander. Just saying, cough, cough, overrated.
Justin Verlander's not overrated.
He's not overrated.
I don't know about that.
In the World Series, he's overrated, though. 5.08 ERA.
Yeah. Can't handle the pressure, man.
He's 163-2 when his team scores 5 runs or more, and they lost game 1.
Yeah, I know.
Was when they scored 5 runs while he was still pitching.
Yeah,
he still only could have lost because they only tied it when he was pitching. But
yeah.
So he's 163-2 still. But
yeah, Justin Verlander. I guess he just doesn't. I don't know if the moment gets to him. I don't know what it is.
I feel like at that point there's just so much film on him. Like we've talked about it so much. Where like a regular season football game or even regular season in college, usually stuff just kind of happens how it's going to happen. And then in the playoffs, it's completely different. Like Bill Belichick just goes through young quarterbacks in the playoffs because he's just so smart with film. Yeah. Nick Saban, same way. So Justin Verlander's been pitching for so many years. There's so much film on him. It's so easy to know where he's going to throw it. And he's a good high ball pitcher. So
if
everyone's looking at it. And look at the Phillies guys. Reese Hoskins, huge. Castellanos, huge. Bryce Harper will just
big
go
enough
for it.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Schwarber.
Tall. Schwarber's huge. JT Realmuto is like 6'4".
Yeah, you're right. He likes to throw the high fastball and then throw his curveball in the dirt to like complement it. And they kind of got in. They got him rattled before they opened up and put 5 on him. They had him rattled to where there was like one inning where he just threw straight fastballs. He didn't throw anything else, and that's good. They were crushing his off speed stuff. They figured out his pattern, and they were just sending it into the gap every time. And then you make him become predictable at that point because now he's not trusting his off speed stuff, and it kind of just the rails came off there. But still, Lance McCullers had by all means the worst game of the World Series so far.
Oh, yeah.
5 home runs, gives up 7 without ever having someone in scoring position. You're doing something wrong if that's your stat line. Yeah. And the film shows he was tipping his pitches. His fastball, he was kicking his leg up way higher than, or maybe it was the other way around. But for his off-speed
pitches, his leg would go out farther.
Okay.
So he'd be very tight on a fastball, but then anything off-speed, his lead leg.
I know I saw his lead leg was coming up higher and going out. So they were able to sit on it.
Yeah.
That's something noticeable. It's early enough in their wind up where you can go, okay, well, now I know what I'm getting roughly. Obviously, you still got to know the location. You still got to get the right location and whatnot. But when he's tipping pitches, you put 7 on the dude like they did 5 jacks. I mean, Phillies really are in control. Now they only have to win 2 more games. They have the next 2 games in Philly, which is huge. You don't want to go back to Houston. If you allow Houston to take it back to Houston, I think they will have built too much momentum, and Philly will have deflated just enough to where Houston can take Game 7. But then again, no one really expected them to take Game 1. Game 1 was really good. But the series, by all means, has been very entertaining. But Philly's they're in control right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully they can hold on. The thing is, you got to get on the starting pitchers for Houston because their
bullpen's too
that
good.
Astros bullpen's insane. And if they get to come out and hold a lead, you're screwed.
Yep.
You saw what happened in Game 2. That bullpen, well, actually, no, Framber Valdez just went 6 shutout innings, like no problem. And then the bullpen comes in.
And when the bullpen only has to throw 3 innings, and there's
if you got to get on you got to get the starters out soon because you have to put runs on them. Their bullpen's too good in Houston.
Brian is just a stud, which I'm mad the Mariners got rid of him. He was an absolute liability with the Mariners.
It's an exciting series. Rooting for the Phillies, like most of America is, I think.
It'd be nice to see Schwarber get another one.
Bryson Stott is my X Factor guy.
Shut up, Siri. Sorry.
Bryson Stott is a rookie shortstop.
Yeah,
and he is seeing 5 pitches per at bat, which
he's
is the highest in the
yeah.
playoffs. And he's 19 years old, 20 years old. And it's just,
he's looking solid, dude. He
so
really
good.
is. And you know what? I was skeptical of the Bryce Harper contract when it happened. I'll be honest with you. I thought him and Manny Machado, put too much theatrics into their free agency and whatnot. And I thought the Bryce Harper contract was brutal. But he's gotten an MVP. I stuttered there. He's gotten an MVP, and now his postseason run, we all know it's incredible. Yeah. If they win a World Series, I'm going to have to eat my words on that one because I didn't want the White Sox to have anything to do with Bryce Harper. And
they could use Bryce Harper.
Oh, no, I know.
Outfielder who is a lefty bat.
Yes, they absolutely could use Bryce Harper. I'm aware of that. All right,
corner outfielder.
I was wrong. Okay, I admit that I was wrong.
Me and Andrew debated this for an entire warm up and workout in college, and I stood for the fact that after that, I didn't want either of those guys to go to the Mariners, but between Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, I'd want Bryce Harper.
And I wanted Machado more. Yeah. That was where we were. That's where we.
Right now, it's panning out that I was more. Correct.
Yeah, I'll give Nick that one.
But Fernando Tatis has kind of submarined his own team, so
yeah.
I don't really want to put all the on Manny.
Gosh, Harper is gonna It would be cool, especially since Washington won the World Series the year after the very next season when he leaves. Yeah. It would be nice for him. I've changed my opinion towards Bryce Harper quite a bit.
Also, just a storyline for Philly. You fire Joe Girardi,
and then
you just immediately after that.
Do they just ride with their interim guy? Do they just ride with him?
I think you have to. So. If you win your World Series,
this has got to be he's gonna be like, do you really need to interview me?
This is Rich Pisaccia, except for the fact that he had postseason success.
That's true. If
if the Raiders make it to the Super Bowl, I'm not even saying win the Super Bowl, but if they make it to the Super Bowl, he's for sure the head coach.
Exactly.
He should have for sure been the head coach. The Raiders suck ass.
That's
2-5, shut out by the Saints. Perfect. Let's move into the NFL, shall we?
Go ahead.
Perfect. So, dude, okay. Well, yeah. Let's just say this: Josh McDaniels, fraud, absolute scrub. Did I call it, Bobby? Did I call it? I called it. I said he was going to be an absolute.
Well, I mean, Nathaniel Hackett's right there.
Okay, that's great. That's great. My point was, I said Josh McDaniels was a fraud and was a bad hire. Yeah. And sure enough, he took a team that endured so much crap last year. You got the whole Ruggs thing. Who was their cornerback was with the guns in his Instagram live.
I don't know who was
that.
It was one of their rookie. They lost Ruggs. They lost a young DB. They lost all kinds of stuff. The John Gruden scandal, everything, and they make the postseason. The teams are really on paper. The team's pretty much the same.
Except they got Devontae Adams.
They've they improved. The only place where they evidently got worse is in coaching.
Really,
Josh McDaniels. I said it a while ago. I've never understood why he's a head coaching candidate every single year.
I don't get it either.
His success with Brady, cool. I could be a great offensive coordinator if Tom Brady was my quarterback in his prime. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
What do you even have? That's my thing. What do you even have to do when you're coaching the best player to ever play the position in the most successful quarterback / player the league has ever seen? It's like, really? Am I really going to go out there and be like, hey, Brady, so let me give you some pointers on how to do your job better? No. Josh McDaniels, he's famous because he chewed out Brady on the sidelines. Everyone's like, see, he'll give it to him. It's a good coach. He's a bona fide scrub. He failed in Denver. Everyone saw that coming. Failed. He's going to fail here in Vegas. He backed out on the Colts like the week after he accepted the job. How this man is even considered for anything is beyond me. He is Cliff Kingsbury 2.0. No business being a head coach in the NFL. He's ruined the Vegas Raiders. Raiders fans should be pissed. I hope to God he gets booed every single time he walks out of that tunnel.
That's funny because Nathaniel Hackett's the same thing. He was Aaron Rodgers' QB coach. And obviously, it's not that hard to be a QB coach for one of the best QBs.
Actually, Luke Getsy was the quarterback coach.
No, I thought
Hackett was the offensive coordinator.
Oh, okay. All right.
Either way, same exact concept.
Same thing. But
And he wasn't the play caller. Matt LaFleur was the play caller.
I look at it the same way as Steve Kerr when he first been as the Warriors and when they won up until when Durant left.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you cannot give him credit for being a good head coach. Yes, he's good, but you have Steph Curry, who was the best point guard at the time. You have Klay Thompson, who's an amazing shooter, and then you get Kevin Durant. But he's continued to sustain success when those guys were out with injuries and when he had to bring a young team in. Same thing with Greg Popovich, except he did it for so long. So it's like, how do these coaches who have no... See, Matt Nagy's only claim to fame was Pat Mahomes. But when you step out of the Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid shell...
That's Cliff Kingsbury's claim to fame. Who are we kidding?
Cliff Kingsbury, same thing. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury has had success, at least on the win-loss record, but no postseason success.
This year, they're exposing him.
Yeah, they really are.
Josh McDaniels, if your only success is having Brady and Belichick, but every time else you suck... How does that make sense? The same thing with Nathaniel Hackett. And if you even go back, same thing with Nick Saban. Nick Saban's a terrible coach, but he's good in college.
Yeah.
So you can't just plop him into an NFL team. He's going to be good.
Yeah. It's just the McDaniels, honestly, the reason he probably got the job is because Mac Jones had a solid rookie year. And they're like, look what he did with a rookie quarterback.
That's true.
But it's like, he's not a head coach, man. I'm not saying he sucks as a coordinator, but some guys just don't have that head coaching ability.
No, yeah.
Personally, I don't think he commands a lot of respect in the locker room because
Devontae Adams pushing that guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, he obviously doesn't command a lot of respect in the locker room. He's kind of got the reputation of killing. He killed Denver, right? Denver was a good team, and then he becomes the head coach. Mike Shanahan gets pushed out, and Denver falls apart. They trade Cutler, and then he gets fired, and it's like. Then the next time he's getting a head coaching job, he backs out the week before. Like, I don't think there's a ton of respect from players for Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't think Vegas really likes him. I think it's similar to Matt Patricia when he was in Detroit.
Yep.
Tried to do like the Belichick thing and tried to be this hard-nosed guy who like my way or the highway, and it didn't work for him because you have to prove yourself. And Josh McDaniels has done nothing but prove that he's not a good head coach. 2-5. Your record speaks for itself. At the end of the day, you're as good as your record says you are. Josh McDaniels sucks as a head coach. You have too much talent. You have too much talent to get shut out, period.
Yeah.
Even on a 1 week basis, if we go strictly off of last week, there is quite literally no excuse to lose 24-0.
And you have people,
to Andy Dalton.
You have people defending him or saying that Darren Waller is hurt. Last year, Darren Waller was also hurt for multiple weeks without Devontae Adams, and they still won 2 of the 3 games that he was out.
Yeah, so there's you literally you have no excuse to be this bad. I'm sorry, there's too much, and it's the same for the Broncos because Bobby wants to throw Nathaniel Hackett out there too. While I'm just trying.
I'm just saying those two right now where it sits hot seat, man.
Yeah, they could. I honestly think McDaniels could be a one and done if they don't turn this season around. Nathaniel Hackett probably won't be a one and done. Although is Elway still the GM there? Yeah.
Well, no, I think
he's the president.
Yeah, he like steps aside.
But he's obviously involved. Nathaniel Hackett could be a one and done kind of thing. The thing is, the Broncos are tied to Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson looks terrible too, by the way. Like, let's not act like he's like they're losing.
But he's doing high knees.
He's doing high knees on the plane to London. They won. It worked apparently. But the Broncos are packing it in. We'll get into that with their trade deadline stuff too. But
yeah, true.
I think it's just the Raiders. There's no excuse for the Raiders. There's none.
No, there's not.
And same for the Broncos, really. But my focus here is the Raiders. There's no excuse.
Well, and just head coaching wise, I hope after this year you look at it as the next candidates need to be more like Brian Dable and less like these two guys. Because Brian Dable had success, and then you look at it like, but Josh Allen's a top 3 quarterback, but he was not like Mahomes. He developed. Mahomes came out as a stud. Aaron Rodgers was already a stud by the time Nathaniel Hackett got there. And then Brady and Belichick were already there. So it's like but Brian Dable developed that. And then you can see he's developing Daniel Jones better than anyone else was there.
Yeah.
So it's like, that makes sense.
Next head coach person that should be hired, Ken Dorsey. He's the offense coordinator for the Bills now. I think you just get everyone in that organization.
That's the, for a year or two, it was take everyone from the Chiefs or take everyone from the Rams. Now it's take everyone from the Bills.
Yep.
To me, Brian Flores still should be a top quarterback.
I don't know how Brian Flores. Well, he's in this tough spot with the NFL with everything that he's accused the Dolphins of. You're not. it's tough. Teams are going to steer away from you because there's going to all those questions are going to come up, and all that stuff's going to come up again once you hire him.
To be fair, the Dolphins have been doing some shady things.
The Dolphins organization is far from clean.
I believe Brian Flores more than just the Dolphins.
Normally there's a lot of I'm not going to say Brian Flores is just talking out of his ass on that one.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet some stuff happened, but I'm also willing to bet that he probably agreed to it and
and then
once he pissed that he was, in my opinion, wrongfully fired. But the Dolphins seem to be on the right track.
Yeah, they really.
They could be doing a little bit better record wise, but they beat the Bills, so that's cool.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of question marks with all of that. Brian Flores could be a head coach. He's not right now for several different reasons. I think the biggest one is the latest thing that came out that he's just been like getting fake interviews and stuff. Yeah. But we don't really have to dive into that.
No, I like him I like him more than Nathaniel Hackett and Josh McDaniels, especially after this year.
I've never been a fan of polling coordinators, like especially if you're going offensive side of the ball. I've never been a fan of polling coordinators that don't call plays. First off,
exactly.
If you're going offensive minded coach, I want the dude to have play calling experience. I don't want it to be Sean McVay calls the offense for the Rams. His offensive coordinator, it's working for the Vikings, I guess. I just I would like them to have more play calling experience. And I don't like guys who inherited a Hall of Fame quarterback because it's your job's already easier. We don't know what you can do as an actual coach developing a team or a player.
Well,
Perfect example, Matt LaFleur. What is Matt LaFleur going to do when Aaron Rodgers leaves? Is he actually capable of building a team? The Packers don't look good this year.
No.
They look like crap.
They do not look good this year. They have the same record as the Bears. Love that, by the way.
No, honestly, that the best thing in football this year for Bears fans is that the Packers suck.
Yeah,
it's really
that's my Super Bowl.
That's really the only
Big
thing.
Cat says his Super Bowl is watching the Packers lose in the playoffs. But watching the Packers suck is great. But that's the thing: is Matt LaFleur going to be able to actually win football games when he doesn't have the guy at quarterback? Can you find him? Jordan Love, it's too late now. He's 4 years into his career.
Yeah.
You can't build around him. He's never played. He started one game, right? When Rodgers was, he started he started one game, I think, or two maybe.
I think
outside of some preseason action,
and he played against the Lions,
and then absolute blowouts and stuff. He's not seen the field. It's too late. That was a wasted first round pick.
Oh yeah. He started the Chiefs game with Aaron Rodgers' COVID toe.
Yeah,
last year, and then the Lions. So it was
it's too late for Jordan Love. I actually feel bad for the guy because he's a first round pick who's never even going to get a chance. Dude, I'd love to see what Matt LaFleur can do when he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers. Can you find your quarterback? Can you build your quarterback?
That's where was it Mike McDaniels from San Francisco?
Yeah.
You have Kyle Shanahan, who's a great offensive minded guy, but you never had a stud quarterback. Your running backs were always done because of your offensive scheme with Shanahan. And now you go to the Dolphins and you have success with a good team. So I'm not saying he's just doing it all by himself, but
they went and got but they also got pieces. They went. Tyreek was huge.
Yeah,
it's proven that he's just not going to a just complete idiot. He understands football and he can manage a team
and believes in Tua. And obviously you see it because Tua's not on the field. They're not as good.
Yeah, they're 4-0 in games when he doesn't get killed on the field. So.
But that's my whole thing.
Something's going right.
The biggest shock that I have from all the trades and stuff is about what I was talking about with Mike McDaniels and Kyle Shanahan. Their running game has always been for the past 5-6 years. No matter who it is,
it works.
Your Raheem Mostert last year gets hurt. So does Jeff Wilson Jr. You put Elijah Mitchell also gets hurt. But yet your guys still run well.
Yeah, it's the scheme.
They traded for CMC, who, he's still a stud and he's going to succeed. But why? And for me, that was a head scratcher because it's whatever guy you plug and play in there is good.
I love the trade because when
you barely gave up anything. So that's where it's it's weird because you don't need CMC for your team, but also if you can only they traded 3 picks?
Yeah, well, yeah,
3 in this year. They've traded 2023 second, third, fourth, and a 2024 fifth round pick.
Which 4 picks, but not a first round pick.
Not a first round
for
pick.
A first round level talent.
For Christian McCaffrey, who is having a healthy year.
Yeah,
knock on wood. I'll knock silently so it doesn't rattle the mic.
Yeah.
But I like the trade because I think it's yes, a lot of times they plug someone in and he works, but you want to have like you want to keep it one guy.
Yeah.
You know, this now you have Christian McCaffrey, who is one of the best running backs in football, and his receiving aspect of his game makes him even better than most running backs. You have Debo still, who is able to play wide receiver more this way. And it's just that Christian McCaffrey brings more to the offense than any of those plug and play guys will.
Yeah.
And
like I said, though,
the impact is paying off so far.
Yeah.
Well,
mostly.
Yeah, a week and a half being there, and he had probably the best game of the week. Like, he threw for a touchdown, caught a touchdown.
Between him and Kamara. Kamara had a great week, too.
Yeah.
But it's just like Christian McCaffrey, this is a big move because you're going for stability at the running position. And not only just stability, but arguably the best running back in football.
Yep.
I think Christian McCaffrey is in that conversation. The only reason he might not be is because of his injury history in past years.
That's true. But also, I like how they did it. The Rams supposed to run the division. They're not looking too good.
Right now, the Seahawks are running the division.
Yeah, I know. So basically, you have a shot at it. So you go trade for someone that's going to change your offense and give you a chance to win. And they went and did it. Like, I really like it. You know, they just
This is a big move.
Here's what I liked over what the Rams have done and what some other teams have done. Chris McCaffrey's still young. And what I've always said is I like proven talent over unknown talent. 4 draft picks to a team like the 49ers, they usually draft well. They got Elijah Mitchell in like the 4th round. So it's like, okay, you can miss out on a talent like that. But proven talent's always better than unknown NFL talent.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting with Christian McCaffrey. You're getting a stud guy, and with how deep your running back room is, if he has a bummed knee, you can take him out for a game. In Carolina, they didn't do that. They were like, nope, you're still back out there.
They ran that man until he died.
Same with Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with a quarterback, you're not going to have that privilege of, we're just going to put in our second string guy when you're out for a little bit. But they ran Cam Newton into the ground. We saw what happened with him. And they were running Christian McCaffrey into the ground.
Yeah, this is a win-win trade, I think, for both teams. Carolina, very clearly in a rebuild, although they might have something in PJ Walker. Dude. I don't know. I'm not saying PJ Walker's a franchise quarterback, but he could carve out a nice career for himself because he's been impactful when he plays.
No, dude, the team completely changes.
Yeah, so I like the PJ Walker thing. You can use this capital. You can use all these draft picks to get some more pieces. Yeah. Get younger. Obviously, you need to rebuild a little bit or retool. Maybe is what they think they're at. Not a full blown rebuild. But so that I like the trade both ways. San Francisco gets a very important piece. One of the best offensive weapons you can have is on their team now. That's going to take pressure off of Jimmy G. And if, Trey Lance is the guy next year and Christian McCaffrey is still there, takes pressure off of Trey Lance. Like I always say, a strong running game is very good to develop a young quarterback or just a quarterback that struggles with reading a defense. So this is what that does. That
strong running game and a tight end is what we've always talked about.
And they've got both. They've got both. So that adds a huge element to their game. And they're playing to win. Rams have come out flat. They do not look like they're going to have a very strong year. The Seahawks shocking the world, right? I think that's fair to say. We were
Geno Smith ain't right back.
He ain't writing back.
He ain't right
back anytime soon. But there were people who were projecting the Seahawks to be one of a top 4 pick.
Yeah.
They were going to go quarterback because they were going to be picking that early. They are in first place in the division. They're 5-3. For all we know, they'll make the playoffs. And then it's like, well, shit. Geno Smith was a 2nd round pick for a reason back in 2013 or whenever it was. Geno Smith has obviously got a ceiling, and what you're getting out of Geno Smith is winning football. Yeah. This is the Alex Smith method right here. Quarterback that doesn't make a ton of mistakes, smart with the ball, can manage the clock, manage an offense. Is he going to wow you necessarily? No, but he's still capable of making big throws.
Dude,
he's a more mobile Jimmy G, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
He doesn't lose games for you, but his ceiling's slightly higher than Jimmy G because his legs kind of carry. He's getting older. He's not as mobile as he was in West Virginia for sure.
Yeah,
and not when he was with the Jets, just doing stupid stuff. But now that he's kind of settled in, it's like we're not expecting him to run 100 yards and throw for 400.
No,
it's just like go out there. We got DK Metcalf.
Give me
Tyler
Lockett. Give me 220 to 250, a touchdown or two.
Do they have Noah Fant or do Noah Fant? Yeah,
they have Noah Fant.
Yeah, they have Noah Fant.
So it's like,
and you know who else they have?
Kenneth
Walker III,
and he is balling out right now.
Dude,
honestly,
for the record, Your Honor, Let the record show that I also said Kenneth Walker is going to be a big impact on a team.
You talked about it last year. He should have been more Heisman votes.
He should have been a finalist. Sure. He should have been a finalist.
He really should have. But honestly, you have to give it to Seahawks are just absolute geniuses. You trade Russell Wilson away. How many first round? They got 2 first rounders. Maybe, yeah. 2 first rounders.
They won the trade, man.
You get Drew Lock as your backup.
From Denver.
Yeah, they might get Denver. You're right. I didn't even think of that.
Dude, they're absolute geniuses.
Yeah.
And it looks like Pete Carroll was the reason why Russell Wilson was good.
And you did you see what Tyler Lockett said?
What did he say?
He said it's amazing what a team can do when no one cares about who gets the credit. That's a dig at Russell Wilson. We all know Russell Wilson has been so focused on his brand.
Yep.
Dangerous. Mr.
Let's ride.
Unlimited. Mr. Unlimited. Russell Wilson.
Oh my God, that Justin Tucker TikTok was hilarious.
Yeah, Ravens flock, let's fly.
I heard Lamar's back there running high knees.
Leading us in high knees. What's up, Ravens flock, let's fly. Dude, that was
Justin Tucker.
Justin Tucker.
Did you see? It wasn't. He had a game-winning kick, and someone did the math on it. The middle of the field is whatever, how many yards or whatever. He kicked it. The football would have perfectly, if the goalpost was a football wide, it would have still went in.
That's
his
insane.
kick.
Wow.
And from 57 yards. And I was just like, okay, so if you're that good, you're the best. You talk about the GOAT conversation all you want. Justin Tucker's the GOAT of kicking.
Oh yeah, no, that is solidified there. But let's kind of let's hone back in.
Well, let's first go over our personal winners, and then we'll dive in on everything.
Of the trade deadline?
Of the trade deadline?
Yeah. We'll pick our winners, and then we'll dive in on everything.
Sure.
So, who wants to go first?
I'll
go. You'll go first, Nick?
Yeah, we'll give it to Nick.
I go Philly.
Damn it. I should have gone first. I was going to go Philly.
You're undefeated, and you go get a stud defensive lineman who last year led his team in sacks.
18 and a half. Second in the league. Not just led the Bears. Second in the league.
Yep.
Yeah, but you break the franchise record for the Bears, which has had really good defensive players. And you pretty much gave up nothing. And the Eagles team's so young. Nick Sirianni's doing a great job with the team. The team's young. Do you really need a 4th round pick? You can go get a stud in there, but you're not going to get Robert Quinn.
And you have 2 first rounders.
Yeah, the first round pick for Carson Wentz is still there.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have AJ Brown, who, in my opinion, since 2 years ago, their biggest thing has been wide receiver and running back. And they got Jamal Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got Jamal Williams, so you fill that void. And you have AJ Brown from last year. For a 4th round pick, you're giving up for Robert Quinn. You're only going for maybe defensive back, maybe a special teams guy who can kind of flip the field for you.
Exactly.
But you don't need a 4th round pick for that. You're going to fill your defensive back with probably your 1st round pick, or you're going to trade it and trade down to get more draft capital for those spots to fill.
Yeah.
I don't really think they needed Robert Quinn. And then they just got him.
Yeah, they went and got him. I mean, that's big. That was a big one. That was why I was going to go with Philly, just the value. Robert Quinn was having a down year statistically on the stat sheet. I mean, for the Bears, no sacks or 1 sack, 1.5, whatever. Yep. Coming off of 18.5, you'd expect better. But there's a lot of factors there. They just don't have the same amount of talent up front. Well, he did a lot of that without Khalil Mack last year. But
I'm saying Khalil Mack, when he became the focus for offensive line schemes, his sacks went way down.
But other guys went
he's
up.
Not an impact.
Yeah.
He's still impacting.
Yeah. That's something I was talking about this weekend, watching the Bears against the Cowboys. Dak had no pressure at him for most of the game. And I always said, I'm like, Robert Quinn, he may not have been getting the sacks, but he was forcing quarterbacks to get the ball out sooner, which was helping in coverage. Now, when a quarterback has so much time, coverage will break down and they can get the ball to an open guy. And that's basically what was going on against Dallas. There wasn't a lot of solid coverage. That's because Dak had way more time in the pocket. So, you give up a 4th round pick for Robert Quinn. Let's look at what happens here. Either he pops off again and gets a ton of sacks, win. He doesn't pop off, but he applies a ton of pressure like he was against with the Bears. He was applying 70% of his rushes where he was rushing the quarterback. He was applying pressure 70% of the time. That's still big. So he's not getting the sacks. The quarterback's getting the ball out just in time, whatever. The Bears have had a great passing defense when Robert Quinn was on the field. He had an impact, whether you saw it on the stat sheet or not. So even if you only get that 70% pressure and not a ton of sacks, you're already a complete team, and that's just going to help your defense regardless. for a 4th round pick when you still have 2 firsts.
Yep. I'm pretty sure you still have your second.
They have their second, I believe. Like they're fine. Like that. So that's why I was going to give them the win. But Nick took it. So I'll go somewhere else. I'm going to go to Miami. Yes, they give up one of their 2 first-round picks and a 4th, and Chase Edmonds for Bradley Chubb and a 5th-round pick. I like the move. Chase Edmonds wasn't a focal point of the offense for Miami.
Then they go out and trade for Jeff Wilson Jr. So I think they just wanted Jeff Wilson Jr.
Yeah, so they do that. Chase Edmonds just wasn't going to be a part of their plan. So whatever. You get Bradley Chubb, who's a really good pass rusher. Still very young. I think I don't know how old he is off the top of my head. Maybe 26.
He has to be around there. The oldest he has to be is 28, 29. It's the oldest.
Is he just a year older than Roquan?
Didn't
they both play in Georgia?
Someone could look it up. Yeah, but he's around. I'm guessing he's around 26. But you get a premier edge rusher. Your defense needed a little bit of help there on the edge. This is going to help. This is it's a good move. Your offense is already firing. Tyreek Hill's on pace for 2,000 receiving yards. Jalen Waddle's going to have over 1,000 on the year. I mean, Tua's having a resurgence here. He's kind of showing why he was the 5th overall pick.
Yep.
Mike Gesicki.
I know I can't forget him. Solid, strong, reliable tight end. Decent O-line, and you still got to keep a 1st-round pick here.
Yeah.
So it's a good move. They didn't. Yes, you had to give up a 1st-round pick, but you had one to play with, and you gave up you're still in good position. With
and
I like the move.
He's 26.
20. Look at that.
I'm 19 days older than him.
Bing. Doesn't that make you feel like crap?
Yeah.
Doesn't it? It makes me feel like crap when I see guys getting drafted at 22, 20.
It really hits you when you hear.
Here I am. I talk about them. I talk about how their football careers started.
Julio Rodriguez, who's 21, and is having winning rookie of the year, and it's just like he's 5 years younger than me now. Like it's 5 years. That's insane.
Sucks. It sucks.
Yep, we're getting old.
It really does suck. Our chances of going pro are just slipping slowly.
I got 4 more years. I feel like once you hit 30,
hey, you know what? Velus Jones Jr. is a 25-year-old rookie. We could get there.
That's true.
I'm already older than him.
It doesn't matter. True. Brandon Whedon was a 28-year-old first-round pick.
That's true.
He was 28 when he was drafted. It could happen. He was the first overall pick.
When it gets too cold, I can start feeling my knees hurt though. So my basketball career is almost done for sure.
Oh yeah, dude, that's my hand.
I gotta set in guys.
By the way, we never did our combine.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't.
Next.
Yeah, we're gonna do it in March before the next one.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll set an actual time so we do it.
Yeah, we'll do it. And I still got to strike Bobby out.
Yeah.
But we might go to wiffle ball for that.
Yeah, but all right, yeah, fair enough.
We'll decide.
Yeah, we'll decide. Yeah,
actually, no. I think my odds are better if it's not wiffle ball.
Yeah, I would say baseball.
Okay, never mind. We still got to do that. But we're getting off topic.
Okay,
here.
yeah.
Bobby, you're winner of the trade deadline. Oh, also, I wanted to point out this wasn't a trade deadline move, but the Jets getting
James Robinson. No, dude, that was a steal. 5th rounder.
Yeah, that was a big move there. Yeah. I like that one a lot for the Jets.
It sucks.
I like it for both teams because Travis Etienne was going to be their focal point going forward.
Oh yeah,
so it's let's just
you took an undrafted guy and got a 5th round out of him a couple years later. It works. It works both ways. But I think the Jets will feel a bigger impact.
Yeah. Well, it really does suck.
It's because Brees Hall with the torn ACL. But James Robinson, if you can have a two back offense there with those two, you're set.
Look at Chubb and Hunt. It works.
Montgomery and Herbert.
Yep. Boom.
I like Pollard and Zeke.
I was about
to just ate up some yards.
He just absolutely.
Well, that was without Zeke. Zeke didn't even play that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Bodied the Bears.
Why couldn't Zeke just?
But Bobby, your winner.
So I'm gonna go right now where it stands. I got one right now. It's Vikings. You just absolutely fleeced the Lions. Got T.J. Hawkinson, who are the Vikings, right?
Yes.
You looked at me. Like I said it wrong.
I was just listening.
You absolutely fleeced them, and you get one of the best tight ends for a second, and I want to say
Hawkinson's a top.
Yeah.
What are we saying is one of the best tight ends?
Top 5. He's top 5 for sure.
Really? You're saying top 5?
He's top 5.
I could put him in there.
I would say he's top 10. But that's right. I wouldn't say one of the best.
So this is where I'm at with tight ends. Right? You got your top 4. Kelsey,
Kittle,
Waller, and I'm putting Mark Andrews in there now.
then I would say Hawkinson's
I'd
next.
say Mike Gesicki's better than DJ.
No, not that. Nah, I wouldn't. Take it.
See, this is the thing with the tight end position. We talked about it before. You get after Mark Andrews, you have a drop, and then there's a noticeable drop there, but nothing crazy. It's not like Hawkinson and Gesicki. The Hawkinsons and Gesicki's are just ass. No, they're just not elite, but they're very good.
But also, I wouldn't say Kirk Cousins is better than Jared Goff. So you're gonna upgrade. I'll admit it.
Top quarterback.
You're getting a better quarterback, and that's one thing that the Vikings have always lacked in. Like, they never had really good tight end. Now
about Kyle Rudolph. That was a pretty solid.
Yeah. I'm sorry about.
Well, okay. I'm saying the past couple of years.
Okay. Irv Smith is no Kyle Rudolph.
Yeah,
it's an absolute travesty that he's allowed to wear Randy Moss's number.
It really is. Like,
how the Vikings haven't retired number 84 is disgusting.
It really is. He's like,
do better, Minnesota.
Yeah.
To me, it always bothers me when a guy who's not as good as someone wears that number. Like, for me, the Bears, I don't want to see some defensive guy who's not like a just absolute monster wear 99, because it's Julius Peppers. Like,
well, I don't give a fuck about it. I couldn't give a damn who wears 99. 54 is the number.
Yeah, 54.
54 is
55.
55 too for Lance Briggs.
23.
No, I don't care.
Yeah,
I love Hester and everything, but
you could wear.
No, 33 was what was Peanut Tillman's number?
33. Jalen Johnson wears 33.
It's
tough. I really
Jalen Johnson wears well though.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he's close. Irv Smith is not anywhere close.
Yeah, you gotta live up
to
to the number you're wearing.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying.
I
get your
point. Roquan Smith could have wore 54, and I would have been like, you know what? I'm not happy that someone's wearing Urlacher's number, but at least
it checks out. It checks out
to that.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
But Vikings, you're already winning the division. Green Bay sucks, so you go and get yourself a good tight end. You're gonna bolster. You're gonna try and make a run. But for the future wise, I gotta give the Jags credit. They got Calvin Ridley for a fourth and a conditional, or a fifth and a conditional fourth.
Yeah, that's another one I forgot to.
Yeah, like
it's.
I don't understand that, but hey,
the Falcons are believers in Drake London and Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
They're fans on him, and you know what? Calvin Ridley probably could benefit to go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not playing at all this year. The fact that you are getting draft picks for a guy who's suspended for the entire season, it's you got to do it. You know what I mean?
I like
it. Helps that you have confidence in your young receivers. I also will admit Marcus Mariota has been playing pretty solid. The Falcons are having a decent year, better than a lot of people expected. But you got to give props to them for that.
They're 7-1 against the spread.
I know. And while we're talking about wide receivers on the move, Bears did get Chase Claypool. Gave up their second round pick. Let's go into Bears talk.
Yeah, we'll do.
So let's highlight Bears. Robert Quinn to Philadelphia for a 4th round pick. The absolute shock. Roquan Smith traded to Baltimore for a 2nd round pick and a 5th round pick.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the Bears traded their 2nd round pick, not the one they get from Baltimore.
I'm kind of upset that
the Bears won for Chase Claypool. I'm glad they got Chase Claypool.
Yeah.
So I would have preferred to give up Baltimore's 2nd round pick, but from everything I've seen, multiple teams were calling about Chase Claypool. The Packers were. And the reason that we got him is because they expect us to be worse than the Packers, which is why now my only hope for this season is to finish better than Green Bay.
That's true.
I don't care if the Bears go 4-13 as long as Green Bay's 3-14. That's all I care about.
That's true. No, it's honestly amazing that we got him over Green Bay, but I just want it to be known. Robert Quinn trade happened. I get it. I didn't like that we got a 4th. I felt third at the bare minimum you could have got from.
With Robert Quinn, I knew he was going to get traded. I just knew it. The writing was on the wall. I guess you would have preferred to see him traded in the offseason when his value was at its highest.
Exactly.
4th round pick, obviously, it'd be nice to get something more, but he has 1.5 sacks on the year. The thing that irritates me, though, is we're basically eating his entire the Bears are eating his entire salary for the year. So that alone, that you're going to take an $18 million salary, and I'm pretty sure they're on the hook for like $16 million of it or whatever. Pretty much the entire salary. you should have been able to be like, listen, we're gonna help you against the salary cap with this move. At least give us a third.
Exactly. Like
I thought they could have gotten a third because of that factor, less about 18 and a half sacks last year. It's the NFL. What have you done for me lately?
Yeah,
previously.
That's true. And
fourth, cool, whatever. The Roquan one.
Then the Roquan one comes out.
Then they trade Roquan. Literally, as I am boarding the plane from Cancun to come home, I see that's the last alert my phone gives me before I
already
lose.
Upset leaving all-inclusive resort to come back to Illinois. And
I spend my last day watching the Bears get a beat down from Dallas, and then that's the last relaxing day is watching that. Then the next day I fly back, and what do I get? Roquan traded to Baltimore, 2nd and a 5th round pick, no service until I land. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. I'm not a fan of the Roquan trade. I will say this.
Did you hear that, right?
Roquan. I'm not a fan of the Roquan trade. I will say this, though. That did open the door to go get Claypool.
It did.
So, and I'm glad that they got Claypool, because I've been very critical that Poles has just not been, at some point he needed to address wide receiver this year and couldn't continue to put it off. So, that gives you the flexibility to go and get Chase Claypool, who's a young wide receiver with tons of upside still.
I just want it to be said that I swear to God, if Chase Claypool is celebrating when we're on a game-winning drive and it's a crucial moment.
No, he already did not do that 3 times this year.
Yeah, let's hope.
He's grown.
He's better have grown. All right, because I will be pissed. All right, you could do that in Steeler country.
Yeah, not here.
Not Bear country.
Not Bear country. But yeah, so
we're never that close.
It opens some doors. My issue with the Roquan trade is that, obviously it hints that relationship was completely deteriorated at that point.
Yeah.
Ryan Poles had his press conference. He said that the Bears made their final offer to Roquan before the season started. And then he did all that stuff on social media. And obviously, he basically admitted, he's like, we were nowhere close in where we wanted to be. The middle ground for both sides was just too far away from where they stood. So Roquan obviously wants to get paid. And I say you pay the man. But I also will acknowledge you can't pay him everything he wants just because he wants it.
Yeah.
Would I have been willing to go up closer to his number than I think Poles is? Sure. But that's me. I'm not a GM. Instead, I talk about it on this chair in the garage. So whatever, for what that's worth to people out there. Go ahead.
My question is, why wouldn't you just try to package them together and get at least a first?
It just didn't work out.
I just think when you're looking at Philly obviously calls you first about Roquan or about Robert Quinn, and I don't think they wanted to give us enough away.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted.
Where Baltimore, same thing. They're going for Super Bowl this year, or at least a long postseason run.
Yeah.
So where it's like you're not going to try to give up to get both of them. But I feel like the Bears could have, what Andrew said earlier is, I think they're stupid where you meet with Roquan, you're not anywhere close. Robert Quinn's coming off 18 and a half sacks. You put both of them together and package them in the offseason before anything comes about Roquan. Yep. Roquan drove his own stock down to teams because they're like, he clearly plays hardball and he doesn't have an agent, so it's hard to deal with him.
Yeah, he's a total rental player for the Ravens.
Oh yeah, he definitely is.
Again, I go back to another Chicago team, the Cubs. Everyone was mad about getting rid of Rizzo, Bryant, and Baez at the same time. But if you're gonna have no chance of signing in the offseason, I would rather get whatever you can get at the time.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
But when you have a problem with the Cubs had a problem with Rizzo because they could have signed him in the offseason. He already said he would have signed with them because he loves the Cubs. Roquan did not like that, so you're going to trade him. But be smarter about it.
Yeah.
In the offseason, before that stuff comes out, Roquan and Robert Quinn are arguably, besides Khalil Mack, but he was already gone, are probably in your top 5 for most GMs and coaches that want those two guys.
Yeah.
So if you can, like Bobby said, trade both of them for a package.
If you could package them to get higher picks, do it.
Miami was all in for anything, which, they have a lot of picks for Tyreek Hill and stuff like that. But you could have found a team similar to them that would have given you more for both of those guys before the season starts.
Exactly. I don't know.
It's tough. The thing is, with the Roquan stuff and everything, I'm not, like I said, I'm not thrilled about it. He's a 25-year-old stud linebacker. and you can franchise tag him. I know players don't like that, but the Bears are obviously going in the direction of like a rebuild, right? They're not trying to retool, they're trying to rebuild. And with that, what do you need? You need young, established talent. Like you need building blocks. A 25-year-old linebacker who's top 5, arguably top 3 at his position, that is a building block. That's not a piece that you look to move so that you can find a building block. You already had one. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he's still on his rookie deal. I would have tried everything to re-sign him. And, the Bears have 100 with the Robert Quinn trade projected $130 to $135 million. I can't remember the exact number. It's in that range. Just with the Robert Quinn trade. That's what their cap space is looking like. Sorry if that messed up.
No, you're good.
That's what their cap space is looking like for this offseason. You can't take 19 to 20 mil and pay Roquan that and still be over 100 million in cap space.
Exactly.
That's my thing is you have the money sometimes. And this is where GMs differ in the league. And maybe this is the mentality that like makes me sound like an idiot to people, but sometimes you have to overpay to keep a star. Yeah. And it sucks. You don't ever want to overpay people, but that is the business of the game. Like you don't want to overpay him. Someone else will. Great example, I think, is Christian Kirk in this offseason. Now, I'm not saying he's a star, but he's an example of a team willing to overpay someone when the other team wasn't. Now, I think Arizona was smart to not give him that contract. So it's not exactly apples and apples here. But the point is that when you have a star and other teams view him as highly as you or even more highly than you view him, they will pay him the money whether you want to or not. And you can't just let talent walk all the time. Like you have to risk money. You have to pay a little bit more than you want to keep your building blocks, such as Roquan. And you didn't do that. And Poles is really mortgaging the success of the Bears going forward on his ability to draft and his ability to convince free agents to come to the Bears and play for the Chicago Bears and play for Eberflus. He's got to convince guys to believe in Justin Fields, who's having some solid games put together, I will say. But you're putting a lot of faith in your ability to sell the team you have on free agents and on your ability to draft guys. Yeah. And so far, you've had one draft under your belt. I like the Jaquan Brisker pick. I like Kyler Gordon. Kyler Gordon is clearly needing a little bit more development. Brisker's having a more immediate impact and better rookie year between the two. But I haven't seen enough from Poles to trust it.
Yeah, it's like
that's the thing. You just don't. There's so much uncertainty with him as a GM that I don't necessarily agree that we are all in on drafting everything at every replacement. Like you're just creating holes and hoping that rookies and other guys will fill those holes. You can't control where they sign in free agency. You can't.
Nope.
They can say no. Stephon Gilmore was offered a massive contract, like $4 million more a year to sign with the Bears than New England when he signed with New England as a free agent. And he said no to the Bears because the Bears were crap.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Like players will say no if they don't think your team's going to be good.
When you were talking about Christian Kirk, the one that came to my mind was A.J. Brown. Philadelphia, and it wasn't even a free agency time for him. Philadelphia traded to get A.J. Brown and then paid him because Tennessee wasn't. And now look at Tennessee. Tennessee's not good this year, and Philadelphia is undefeated.
Yeah.
So Philadelphia was like, here's our building block of Jalen Hurts. Our defense is good. We like Nick Sirianni. We're going to build around this. My only problem with the Bears with not getting Roquan is I feel like Eberflus and Poles should have went to Roquan and said, here, you're not going to make you want $30 million a year. We're going to give you 22, but we're going to use that $8 million and build a team around you to where this year we might not make the playoffs, but next year our plan is to make the playoffs. And to me, Roquan's a guy who's like, yes, I want to be on a team that's going to compete. So I will take less money if you're going to promise me that you're going to go out and sign a guy like, I mean, Claypool is not a stud, but he's better than what they have.
Oh, yeah. And I think Claypool can have a solid time here. My problem I'm excited for it.
I am too.
Poles and Eberflus can't convince Roquan to stay when he's already been here, and I don't know who broke that bond crazy at the start. I don't see them going out and like pulling a guy like Von Miller. He went from the Rams to the Bills.
Yeah.
I don't think Poles and Eberflus can do that, especially if this year's not very successful.
Yeah, and I think a huge thing. Sorry, I had a weird hiccup there. The trend that I'm noticing is that Ryan Poles really just wants to just get rid of a lot of Ryan Pace stuff.
Yeah.
I really believe that he was looking to move Eddie Jackson. And that one would piss me off the most because I think Eddie Jackson across from Jaquan Brisker has like revived his like where his status was as a safety.
Yep.
We can all agree Eddie Jackson's 4 picks on the year. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, no, he's been playing
He's
really
playing
good.
all around the field. His tackling, obviously, we all know Eddie Jackson's not a great tackler, but it's been better this year.
It's been a lot better, yeah.
Altogether, your safety duo of Jackson and Brisker is very solid. So if Poles wanted to break that up, that would piss me off the most out of everything.
And it's like, dude, you need one veteran player.
Yeah, you need to keep some guys.
Yeah.
But some of it, Poles just wanted to move on from the Pace era as best as he could. And I don't think he tried. I don't want to like discredit him, but I don't think he really tried to do what you're describing, Nick.
Yeah.
I don't think he tried that hard to convince Roquan to stay in Chicago. I think he was like, this is where we're at. This is what we think you're worth. Yes or no. And went less into specifics about why that's the number they're offering him. And, Roquan came out and said he didn't feel valued by the current management. Whether it's because his number's way higher than they want to give, that's a factor, obviously. But that also tells me the conversation wasn't very friendly. It wasn't like a respect to respect kind of thing. It was like, you're a player. I'm going to pay you this. Yes or no. And that was it. They just treated him like a contract and nothing else.
Yeah.
So Poles, he wants to do his own thing. More power to you. Here's the problem. Wide receivers, not going to be very big in free agency. Not a ton hitting free agency.
No, because Calvin Ridley already got traded.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I say this, if you're a top 5 player at your position, you don't hit free agency. You just don't.
Well, I think Deontay Johnson might be up.
He's not. My point is, he's not going to hit free agency. He's going to get signed.
Oh yeah, if they traded Claypool, he's for sure.
The point is that these guys don't hit free agency. Devontae Adams was going to be the big free agent. Instead, he got traded and signed.
Yep.
AJ
Brown traded and signed. Like you don't have teams will pay you. Like they will do what they have to get you to make sure they don't have to compete with anyone else. And that's where those trade and signs happen. But if you're a top 5 player, you don't hit free agency. And so where are you going at wide receiver? You got to draft one now. Granted, you can have solid success as a young wide receiver in the NFL. What about O-line? The value of O-lineman has been established in the NFL.
Would you take Juju Smith-Schuster now to be your third?
No. You need someone like with Claypool.
My third right now is Odell because you need a veteran.
No.
Even if you draft a guy, I'm sorry. Your oldest guy on your offense is David Montgomery.
If they sign Juju, cool. I'm not going to be
playoff success. If David Montgomery is your most veteran offensive player,
yeah.
No, you need. Which is why Odell's my third guy for right now because you're going to get him the cheapest, and he has playoff. He's played in the playoffs.
Well, I don't think
the Super Bowl.
Odell's not going to sign anywhere like where they're not going to be competing.
That's the thing. You have 135 million in cap space. Theoretically, you could buy success with that cap
You're in
space.
second place in your division.
But my bigger concern, honestly,
my
my biggest concern with the Bears is defense now.
Yeah, no, really.
You don't have AJ Klein. He's supposed to step in for Roquan. Not going to happen.
No.
This Morrow guy gets exposed in coverage all the time. Solid run stopper, sure, but he doesn't have the speed and coverage ability. So you need to be able to either draft your next Roquan Smith, which is going to be hard to do. Granted, you could have a top 10 pick, which would make it easier. You're going to have to you're going to have to sign someone.
Will Anderson Jr.?
Maybe you need to address your D line. Quite honestly, at this point, the defense. Chase Claypool fills a need. He's not RB, he's not wide receiver 1. But if you have a wide receiver 2A and 2B in him and Darnell Mooney, you can open each other up enough.
Yeah.
And you can open up a third guy enough. But obviously you'd want to go get someone else. I think you have to see how the season goes with those two guys playing with each other. Because if they can prove to impact the offense enough together, then you're not as desperate for wide receiver, though I'd like to see them sign someone big. Problem is there's just not big wide receiver free agents.
No, there really isn't.
Juju's not. If they sign Juju, I'm not going to complain. He's doing well in Kansas City.
Yeah,
but I just want to see them go get a big name.
Like, I would too. And I would hope that if you really can't get anyone, you're gonna try and get like one of the big receivers out of the draft.
Yeah,
like that
Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Yep, that would be my hope.
I know that's Bobby's guy.
That is.
Everyone else got taken last year.
Yeah,
but I would, I'm assuming in the draft they're gonna go O-line and D-line heavy.
I think so.
And linebacker.
I just hope they're in play for Will Anderson Jr., but I think he's going top 5 for sure.
Well, they're 3 and 5. They could have the pick.
Yeah,
they're projected the 4th overall pick currently.
Yeah, I just don't know. Well, it depends because if quarterbacks go and we're like the first one up, then yeah, we got him.
Yeah,
and he's a monster.
Yeah.
And so the plan, it's just kind of tough. What I will say with the Claypool trade, right? Obviously, they're starting to believe in Fields more. Yeah. I don't think that Poles was sold on Fields until these past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And the stat sheet's not going to jump out at you, all right? It's just not. 150-something yards this past weekend, like 15 of 22 or whatever it was.
But it's
3 touchdowns, though.
Yeah, and it's his ability to keep plays alive. Like, dude, he is, like, putting that offense on his back. Like,
oh, no, I know. He's Justin Fields has shown just how much of the offensive production he is. Even if they're not scoring, he's most of their yards.
Yep.
Rushing and passing. He's most of their yards right now. He is being able, like, his ability to avoid getting sacked, even though he gets sacked a lot already, but he could realistically get sacked like 10 times a game, but he evades so many of them.
Yeah. And the fact that he stays in the pocket and still will make the play and take the hit. It's like,
he's a tough guy.
Yeah.
He's showing mental toughness and leadership. And what you need to see though now you need to see the reads. But part of the problem is everyone thinks he's a one-read quarterback, and there's truth to that. But it's also he doesn't really have time to get through his progressions.
No, you really can't.
And when he does, they're not getting open.
No. Yeah.
So it's like you can't blame him for everything that's wrong with the offense. I will admit he can stare down receivers. A lot of experienced quarterbacks still do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of young quarterbacks definitely do it. So that's something you want to work on. You want to work on his ability to read a defense. I think he's getting better at it. He's been making great reads and like read option and whatnot. He's been making solid decisions lately. But you obviously want to see him break down a defense a little bit more. You want to see him progress through his reads faster, get the mental clock more where you want it to. But you also need an offensive line to help him with that. Yeah. And right now they're using his running game to help him develop mentally, which is good and bad. It's good because you're taking advantage of his athleticism, forcing defenses to stay more honest in everything, which helps him slow the game down. But eventually there's going to come a point where he needs to throw the ball, and you want him to be able to do that as effectively as he can run. Yeah. So those are things to work on. But he's put together 3 solid games. So there's a lot to be impressed with.
And honestly, if the defense just held up, we could have beat Dallas.
Yeah,
like our defense,
they were in that game, and that's the thing I want to point out about the Bears throughout this entire year. And this will be kind of our last little touch-ups on the Bears, and then we can get into Nick's question of the week.
All right.
But the one thing, Bears fans can be pissed off all they want that the Bears are losing, but when they are losing, they climb back in every time.
Yeah,
the team does not give up. So obviously, Eberflus has the culture that you want, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason they're climbing back into these games. Like, they have half the talent the Cowboys do. And that game came unhinged with the Micah Parsons fumble recovery. That was it.
Yeah.
That's when the game became out of reach, because then the momentum swung incredibly. But they kept climbing back when they had no business being in that game. The Dallas Cowboys defense hadn't given up more than 16 points all season. And then or maybe it was 18 points or 19, something like that. And then they give up 29 to the Bears.
Yeah.
Your offense is doing something right. Get some O-line. Chase Claypool is going to help at receiver, whether he has an impact on the stat sheet or not, I don't know. But if you have Claypool, Mooney, and N'Keal Harry, who, by the way, got his first touchdown since 2020, as well as Cole Kmet did.
Yep.
But if you can have Claypool and Mooney open each other up, and then N'Keal Harry can fill in as your number 3 somewhere, and let's say you start getting your tight ends going more with Cole Kmet. Your offense is
Ryan Griffin's really solid too.
He's solid. He's a good tight end number 2. He's solid for what they have. But if you can get these pieces working in the passing game, Fields is going to develop. He's going to have an easier time. But you have to remember that guys aren't getting open very often. And when they are, they're dropping the ball.
Yeah.
So like you need the talent for when he makes the right decision to actually capitalize on it. And then you just need to address O-line. So, the culture is there. A team that that's lacking talent is playing above their weight limit, like above their belt level. You know what I mean? So they're hanging in there with teams that they shouldn't be. Yes, are they going to have some bad games? The Bills are coming up. Yeah, that's going to be tough. Dolphins are this week. That could be a tough one. Eagles later in the year as well. Yeah, so they're going to have some tough games. We're going to watch some tough games. Yeah. But the point is the guys don't give up. The players aren't giving up. The coaches, I think, are doing a good job with what they have. Fields is progressing. Let's see some more growth here. Claypool can be a huge part in that growth. And yeah, I guess just take it with a grain of salt when they have a bad year. This is the most encouraged I've been with a bad Bears season in a long time.
No,
because there's actual building blocks that you can see. There are pieces to success that you can see here.
And like I said, when we went into this season, we didn't expect to win. We didn't expect that. We just wanted to see development from Fields. And these last 3 weeks have really showed that Fields is putting in the work. He's trying to fix his mistakes. And I think he's coming into his own in the offense. I think he's finally figured out the offense. Mm-hmm. And I really hope that we have that this continues.
Yeah, I would like I said, the Claypool thing, that's going to be a huge part in his development, whether people realize it or not. Having a second reliable receiver.
Yeah.
That's big. That'll be so helpful for him.
And again, I think this year it's not really fair for Claypool because the quarterback play.
It's been terrible.
Yeah, it's been really, really bad.
It's not doing very well either.
Yeah. So honestly, you're going to get a really good receiver. He's a number 2. He's a good number 2.
It can work.
Yeah.
Nick, closing remarks before your question of the week, or just your question of the week?
For me, year one of Fields very raw. You could see that there was talent there, but not NFL ready. First 5 weeks, you could see the Nagy, era still around him. He wasn't rushing. Now it's like all he does is use his legs. So now in the next 5-6 weeks, I would like to see 2nd and 3. He holds on for the ball too long. Mm-hmm. Don't make it a 3rd and 10. Make it a 2nd or 3rd and 3. You have Dave Montgomery.
Throw the ball away, if anything. Yeah.
Dave Montgomery for the first 6 weeks pretty much was getting 40 yards to carry. So if you're at if you're 2nd and 3, leave it there. Don't try to make a play. So I feel like that's going to be, as time goes on. And like you said, get the tight ends involved. You have Chase Claypool now, who's a taller guy, who's a bigger target for Justin Fields. He's progressing in the right direction.
Yeah.
The first 5 weeks, I saw no improvement from year one. It was even almost worse. But it's
I'll agree
not
with
using
that.
your legs. Your offensive line is slightly better. You don't have any weapons still, but I don't care if Darnell Mooney's not open. Still throw him the ball. At least prove that you can throw it out there.
Yeah.
But now he's starting to use his head a little bit more. Now it's just you have to add that extra layer of being an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
If it's 2nd and 3 and the play is busted, throw the ball at Dave Montgomery's feet right behind the line. Aaron Rodgers does it. Tom Brady does it.
Yeah, I will agree with you. That's another thing. He takes
do that.
He doesn't throw the ball away, and that's part of believing you can make every play, whether it's with your legs or with your arm.
If Eberflus is telling him, and Luke Getsy, your legs can carry you, well, then he's going to think he can get out of everything.
Yeah,
Lamar had that problem in his first playoff run. The Titans exposed him because they would just have a guy spy him. So now Lamar's like, well, I'm just going to turn this, and then he gets hit. And now instead of it being 3rd and 3, it's 3rd and 11.
Yeah, so you'd like to see the sacks go away a little bit. But it sounds like we're all in agreement. There's growth.
Yeah, there is.
There wasn't a lot to go off of earlier in the season. Nope. He was looking really bad. I agree with Nick entirely.
With Justin Fields, I'm happy about that. The only thing that scares me as a Bears fan is say you kept Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, and Roquan Smith. They could have won that game with slightly better defense on Sunday.
You really could have.
They should have.
The what-if game, man.
They should have beat the Commanders. And I think with a better defense, a better run defense, I think you beat the Giants. Which then at that point, you're 6-2 and you're in first place in the division.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're going to do well in the playoffs. But with how bad the NFC North is, it gets back to those early NFC East where the Reds or at the time the football team made it in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What,
with
7-9
record?
Yeah.
Where it's like,
well, dude, that's the South. That's the NFC South right now.
That really is.
That's what scares me as a Bears fan. It's like, you don't know that the Packers are going to be as trash as they are, and you don't know the Vikings are going to have a stumble out of the gate. But it's like, if we kept all our pieces and Fields showed improvement, we could be 6-2 right now.
Yeah, the what if game is so dangerous.
But
the point of it is that the team has looked more competitive than anyone expected.
Yeah.
The Bears, we all were anticipating a terrible year. They're 3-5. They're not winning as much as you want your team to win. But the point is, like, they're still exceeding our expectations because they've been competitive in most of their games, which I was expecting a lot of blowouts this year. So let's just keep seeing the growth.
We're getting to that point.
Oh yeah, no, the blowouts are coming still, but we're seeing the growth. The progression with your quarterback is looking good. Justin Fields just put together 3 straight solid games. Keep building on it. Defense is going to take a hit with these trades, which sucks. But let's see how those guys bounce back, what leadership rises from it. I'm excited to see Dominique Robinson get some more play time. He looked pretty decent against Dallas for the most part.
Yeah, Deshaun Gibson looked pretty good too.
Yeah, you want to see the growth here now. And it's all about this upcoming offseason.
Yep.
That's what will make or break the Bears with the Eberflus and Ryan Poles era is this upcoming offseason. $135 million in cap space. Spend it. Go get your guys. Build something. Let the young guys develop. Great. It's a developmental year. You get tons of guys getting experience that they otherwise wouldn't if you kept Khalil Mack and everything. So it's like, yes, some guys are going, this is valuable experience, but you still need to go and get proven talent, and you need to draft well. So this upcoming offseason is the big one.
Especially
I'll suffer through a bad year as long as I see good things happening in development. And that's what I feel like we're getting now.
Yeah, especially for defense or if your division's weak. Because if you can just make slight improvements, you could be competing with the Vikings.
That's...
So
hell, they almost beat the Vikings.
If it wasn't for that scrub, what's his
Amir Smith-Marset, who's not on the team anymore.
If you can just make that slight, I look at it very much as like the Bulls in 2015, 2016, right before they got rid of Butler and got Levine. The East was weak. You should have been a playoff team consistently, but you didn't make those small little adjustments in the offseason where it's like, all right, we weren't quite in rebuild, but we weren't quite in retooling. But here, make a couple moves, you have a lot of money to spend.
Yeah, you can do a lot. So this offseason will make or break this regime. With that, Nick, question of the week. Hit us with it.
Very weird question. I don't know exactly how you guys are going to feel about it, but I thought about this over the weekend looking at it. So it's about a year and a half removed now from the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade. Okay. Now, very easy to say Rams win the trade because they get a Super Bowl. But purely this year, I'm talking quarterback-wise, to me, the Lions have won because Jared Goff is a much more explosive talent. And with the guys they've gotten, they have looked a lot better because I think if you flip Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford around for this year, I'm not saying Super Bowl you win, that's your goal in life, is to win a Super Bowl. So by making that Matthew Stafford trade, does Jared Goff win that Super Bowl? Heck no, not going to happen. But purely this year, Matthew Stafford on the Lions, I don't think they win a single game. Because Matthew Stafford looks very bad, and he has talent around him. He's got Cooper Kupp. He's got Tyler Higbee. He's got Allen Robinson. He's got a running game.
No, the running game is trash this year. Here's the thing. They lost a lot of offensive linemen, and their offensive linemen's pretty much the worst in the league. So
that comes back to, if you have that, we've seen Patrick Mahomes have a terrible offensive line, but he's a more mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
He succeeds. Jared Goff.
That's a tough one.
Jared Goff is scoring a lot of points, and if his defense was better, they would be winning a lot more games.
That is a fair point.
And but like I said to start, clearly the Rams win because you win a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you win. But I'm looking at this year. If you're a Rams fan and a Lions fan, you're like, wow, I am really glad we don't have Matthew Stafford because our team we would have no wins right now. Whereas if you're the Rams, Jared Goff's looking pretty good right now.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one, Nick.
So I don't really know.
So what's your question? I'm confused.
I guess the question is, going start of this year, week 1 forward, are the Lions a clear front runner to the winner of the trade?
No. They're 1-6.
They are
quarterback play wise.
They're 1-6.
The Lions are one of the best offenses in the league.
That's been trending down. Now TJ Hawkinson's traded.
And Jamal Williams is traded.
It's dude.
We just like it's such a weird thing because
I
get
the logic.
That's what I'm saying. Clearly the Rams win the trade because they win the Super Bowl.
So but you're saying
Jared Goff doesn't win the Super Bowl. But now if Matthew Stafford was on the Lions would actually trash.
All right, if
the Rams would look better than they do right now.
All right, this year, if you're on the Lions, you could reverse the trade with the quarterback play of Matt Stafford.
That's a better way to put it.
Would you do it?
No. Well, no, I would keep Goff. He's younger.
Yep.
I don't think the Lions are. I think the Lions are drafting a quarterback this year.
I think they are.
I don't think Goff's their plan.
Wow.
You're here. Okay, so
his cap.
We mentioned TJ Hawkinson. He was traded for, he's traded for very little actually.
Yeah, they got a second and a third, and then they gave up
picks too.
Fifth.
But you're not trading TJ Hawkinson to rebuild around Goff. I don't think. I think this is. I really think Dan Campbell might get fired at the end of this year. Jared Goff's not going to be the guy. They're going to completely tear it down and try and build it again, and they're going to mess it up because that's what they do. That being said, I would stick with Jared Goff over Matthew Stafford now. Matthew Stafford can't throw very well. His shoulder's fucked up. Let's be honest. It's not in good shape, and he turns the ball over a lot. So, yeah, I guess technically yes then, Nick. This year, the Lions are partially more winners of the trade, just taking this year only.
Wait, once you put in last year.
Yeah, last year it's not even close. But counting into it the prolonged future from the trades, sure, the Lions. But
here's the thing that I look at, even including last year. Team-wise, Rams win because Super Bowl. That's easily, you can't debate that. But for me, TJ Hawkinson was a better player because Jared Goff he played better. And I don't know what that led to. When Matthew Stafford got traded, the big thing was he finally has weapons. So Jared Goff went to a team with no weapons. And now Amon-Ra St. Brown, people have been arguing top 10 wide receiver. He's a clear number one. You didn't think that back then. Mm-hmm. DeAndre Swift is looking really good. So you have 2 top 15 receivers. Bobby just said top 5 tight end. So
not on the team anymore.
Well, not on the team, yeah.
Jamal Williams was a very good RB1. Better than people expected him to be. He's also traded. So now those guys factor into Jared Goff being on the team. Those trades. So now these draft picks that come out of them.
I guess I get what you're saying.
I'm not... And again,
on a technicality, I'll say yes to your question. Like I said,
this is a weird question because I just thought about it when watching the Rams play the 49ers. And it's just like, if your quarterback had just some... Jimmy G's not a mobile quarterback, but the 49ers just look more dynamic of an offense with his slightly better quarterback.
Dude,
for this year.
It's
and
Shanahan.
The Rams look absolutely... And yes, offensive line changed. Von Miller's gone. But your team it did not change that much.
Yeah.
You still have a good defense.
They lost Andrew Whitworth because he retired. Then, who's that center? I think he went...
Whitworth was the center.
No, he was all left
tackle.
Yeah. And they lost a center, and you're pretty much... Yeah, their offensive line sucks.
Yeah, it's tough. But
you went all in to win a Super Bowl. And
you won it, so
you can't lose that trade.
No, I know. I get what you're saying. I guess technically, yes. Going into prolonged future aspect of the trade, yes. I would say the Lions won, but immediate impact, Rams obviously.
And that's the thing is, I feel like most trades we've talked about usually look 3 years down the road when it involves draft picks and stuff like that.
That's true.
The only trade we can say for sure that a team won as of right now is the Seahawks won the Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that one's a clear cut win.
Yeah, clear cut.
You're getting some first round picks, and you're better than them.
Ravens flock, let's fly.
Ravens flock, let's fly. Seahawks flock, let's fly. Broncos country, let's flop.
But I just say, in sports, I think it's only fair to compare when 2 people are traded from the same position. I think most sports can agree the Luka Doncic Trae Young trade was one of the most even trades.
That was an even one, yeah. I'll give you that.
And now looking 3 years down the road, it's about still even.
Yeah,
Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford is 2 quarterbacks. When else have 2 QB1s been traded and then been the starter for multiple years?
Kyle Orton, Jake
That's
Cutler.
exactly where my mind went.
That's the only one I got.
2 QB1s that were slightly above average. Well, Kyle Orton was not. Switched places and then got very mediocre for both of their teams.
Yeah, Oh no, I get what you're saying.
I would say the Bears won that trade.
Yeah, probably.
Yep.
But I get what you're saying there, Nick. So yeah, I guess I'll give it to the Lions. But
this week when I saw the stat line, I was like, James Reynolds dropped that touchdown pass in the end zone against the Dolphins, where I'm like,
the Lions aren't good. It just is what it is.
The Lions could have beat the Dolphins though.
No, I know.
And it wasn't the quarterback play.
I get your point.
It was like, did you guys see that clip? It was like when they lost the game, they were like, it was just like, it's just like, gosh. He's like, we play hard, man. Like they lost the game, but like they play hard. I'll give them it, man.
Yeah,
sucked for them.
But that's, I get your point. I think that's where we'll wrap it up, though.
Yeah.
So thank you guys as always for listening. If you like what you heard, please give us a follow, share the podcast with some friends or people you talk sports with. We'd really appreciate it. As always, thanks for tuning in, guys. We will talk to you next week.
See ya.
See ya.